Hey, what's up? I'm Ka. Today I wanted to talk about 5 things to help you make better house music. Most of these techniques can be applied to any genre of music, but I make house music. The examples are about house music. So, house music. So, for this example, we have Basimless, just a super simple bass line, and I have the kick sidechain to it. Now we have our hats, which are snapped to the grid, perfectly quantized, which doesn't sound too bad, but this could always be better. If we add in swing, you can just type in swing in the Ableton search and then click these squiggly lines and your groove pool pops up where you can just drag in any swing, all the swings, and then you'll go to your clip view and they'll pop up under groove. And you don't have to click commit, just selecting it will put it on the track. And then to commit, it'll actually move the MIDI notes according to the swing. So we're on Logic 8 swings 55. And if I play the grid track on top of it, you can actually hear what the difference is. Sometimes though, as you're adding in a lot more tracks and the track's getting a little more crowded, swing might not be the best thing for your percussion because maybe your bass line might have some swing on it, or your leads are where the hi-hats would be hitting and it's getting kind of cluttered. So in that case, what I tend to do more is just play it in live, play my hi-hat pattern in. You can just play in 8 or 16 bars and repeat it, and then as long as it's pretty much on the grid, the little idiosyncrasies will kind of get hidden as you build out the track more, and it makes it sound live. So there's 2 ways for the live sound. One is playing it in, or if you already have the track built out and you just need a little bit of extra pizzazz, you can just come in and select every other one or select random ones and shift them over 1 or 2 notches either way. And it'll just add in that little extra. Or you can do that and add swing on top, and sometimes that's what the track needs. But swing, you need it most of the time. Get the track out. It's easy to get caught up in the little nuances and sound design and all that kind of stuff that you can get lost for hours. But in the grand scheme of things, usually that stuff doesn't matter too much. Yes, it'll advance your skills, but as far as the song is concerned, that stuff is a lot more of the time to impress other producers or the other producer like in the back of your head, not as much to make the song that much better. If you're sitting down to get a track done, just get it done. Get it done as fast as possible, get all the elements in there so you don't lose that inspiration or the role that you had going. And if you notice yourself spending 2 hours on a kick drum midway through a track, maybe it's time for a new kick drum, which kind of ties nicely into our next point. Try not to overproduce. So if you're producing in Ableton, most of the samples that you're going to get are already mixed and mastered. Processing them more on top of that is just going to crush and compress them even more and can make mixing harder. So I've struggled with this a lot in the past where I bring a new sample in and I EQ and try to get it all perfectly squared away before I even move on. While that's helpful for stuff that's burning through your ear holes, when it comes to the fine EQing, I found that it's usually better to say that to the complete end once your track is fully built out and you have a better idea of how everything sounds together. So I guess this point is don't overproduce and especially don't over EQ. Effects. Don't overdo it. It's really easy to kind of go heavy on the effects and then wonder why later your mix is sounding muddy and boxy and bleh. But especially if you're just starting out your track and adding in effects, get to the point where it sounds good and then just dial it back. And it's going to sound like it's not enough, but when it comes to mixing time, you'll thank me. I'm going to use Valhalla Supermassive because it's free and Ableton's Echo, just to kind of give 2 different styles. So normally when I'm producing, if I'm just starting out with this, I'd throw it up to between 20, 50%, sometimes even higher if it's not as washy of a effect. But even right here, it sounds kind of cool, but I would turn it down probably to like 15. And once your ears start getting used to it, you start wanting to dial it up more to bring you back to reality of the mix. Turn it off and turn it on. And mostly you want to feel it instead of hear it if you're adding it into your main melody. When you can go crazy on it is when you're doing transitions or ambient stuff in the background. We also have echo. %, very low feedback for the more delay types. This is a good technique for kind of sparse bass lines to add in that variation. If you have a more jam-packed one like this, you can hear it starting to like phase and kind of get all crunchy. That's when I would drop the wet down to like 15, 16, bump the feedback up. It just gives them a little more body instead of being a straight delay effect. Long story short, find your good sweet spot and dial it back. Dedicated sound design days. These can be jam days, these can be learning gear days. Don't forget to play with your synths, with your toys, with your new plugins, with everything. Because that's why we get into this, is to have fun and make music and do what we love. So keep that in mind and don't lose the magic. On the flip side, if you're jamming a lot and can't seem to finish songs, set out a day to organize all your jam sessions, grab samples, so it's easier to find what you're looking for when you actually do sit down to produce. You'd be surprised what gems you find a week later after you recorded a jam. And if you're hitting that point where jamming just feels like playing and you need to be finishing tracks, putting out tracks, advancing your career as a musician, record your jam sessions and use them as Instagram or TikTok content, then you're kind of killing two birds with one stone. You're able to jam, you're able to have content, you're able to build your following, build your fan base, build your community. You get to kind of do what you want, but balance in all things. So that wraps it up for me. I hope you got something out of this, and I post a lot of my jams, like the sound design sessions that we were talking about, in my Instagram right here. Give me a follow, say what's up, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.